You know it's time to cut out what doesn't serve you. There is no comfort in staying in cycles that break you. If you were truly satisfied, you wouldn't be here, absorbing these words. The truth is harsh but essential. Staying in this situation is a choice you make repeatedly. The evidence is right in front of you. That relationship, that job, that family dynamic. Every day you find yourself stuck in a pattern. The other person acts, you react. That person comes back, you wait. And in the meantime, your peace is sacrificed in the name of a connection that doesn't bring true satisfaction. You justify what has no justification. Attachment becomes a vicious cycle. It happens. You adapt your feelings to fit into a space that is not yours. The bond remains because you sustain it, not because it is strong, but because you don't cut it. And that's the point. Reality doesn't change because you refuse to act. Many times you believe that time will solve it, that one day the situation will become clearer. This is an illusion. If there is no change, nothing changes. And as long as you remain available, the scenario remains functional. For the other person, not for you. The objective truth is clear. If you need to struggle not to lose, you've already lost. If you need to compete with silence, you've already been sidelined. This situation is not a relationship, it is simply wear and tear, and you are not stuck. You are standing still. Deciding to end what breaks you is an act of courage. It's about prioritizing your peace. There is no comfortable ending here, only the choice to stop accepting what no longer serves you. And this point doesn't come on its own. You need to make the decision. Continuity depends solely on you. The cost of staying is clear. Don't wait any longer. The time to stop is now. It's time to decide and cut out what breaks you. You have already noticed that the cycles repeat. This is no coincidence. It is a pattern that is established when you accept what you shouldn't. Unfulfilled promises, empty gestures, words that don't hold up. This is exactly what you have in front of you. The other person acts. You wait. Time passes without anything changing. You find yourself waiting for a sign that never comes. This expectation only feeds frustration. And what do you gain from it? An emotional wear that accumulates, a weight that becomes unbearable. Every day you convince yourself that everything is fine, but in reality it's different. What you need to understand is that any change requires action. If you are not willing to take action, you cannot expect different results. You can observe the dynamics and realize that it does not bring what you desire. However, inaction perpetuates the situation. The responsibility for change is yours. You are the one sustaining the situation, and therefore, you have the power to alter it. The justifications you use to stay are just a way to avoid the truth. You may claim that there is still love, that the story is worth it, that it is hard to let go. But deep down, you know those are just words. What really matters are actions, and actions speak louder than any feeling. If the other person does not act, that is a reflection of what they really feel. Accepting this is the first step to liberation. Resistance to change is a conscious choice. You cling to what is familiar, even if it doesn't bring happiness. This choice to remain is comfortable, but it does not bring growth. You need to confront reality. What is happening is not healthy, and the lack of change is a clear sign that you need to act. Do not let yourself be carried away by the hope that things will get better with time. This is a common illusion. The truth is that change does not happen by itself. If you are not the driving force behind the transformation, nothing will change. You need to ask yourself, how long are you going to continue like this? How long will you accept what doesn't bring happiness? The bond you maintain is your own construction, supported by your acceptance and your willingness to tolerate. You should not feel guilty for wanting something different. The pursuit of a balanced and satisfying life is legitimate. You don't have to settle for emotional crumbs. It's time to review your choices. What do you really want? What are your limits? You must remember that every decision comes with a cost. The cost of staying in a situation that doesn't serve you is the loss of time, energy, and peace of mind. And that is not a favorable bargain. This is a choice you make, and that often does not reflect what you want for your life. When considering what truly matters, you will realize that freedom is in your hands. What you accept, you perpetuate. Change requires courage, and this courage is necessary to break the ties that bind you. You have the power to decide what you want to accept and what must be cut off. Recognizing that the situation is unsustainable is the first step toward transformation. Don't be deceived. The process of cutting out what doesn't serve can be uncomfortable. It can generate a feeling of loss, but it's essential to understand that this loss is in fact a gain. The liberation from a vicious cycle brings new possibilities and opportunities. When you move away from what does not bring value, you make room for what truly matters. The reality is that you must prioritize your emotional health. Relationships that don't add value, environments that drain your energy, and dynamics that do not promote growth need to be re-evaluated. You no longer need to tolerate what is not beneficial. You must put yourself first. This is not selfishness, it's self-care. Every day that passes without action is a day you drift further from your true essence. Time does not heal unresolved situations. Time only preserves what is already established. And if you don't take the initiative to change, you will remain stuck in the same narrative. You may feel afraid of change. This is normal. The unknown can seem frightening, but what is truly terrifying is staying in situations that do not reflect who you are and what you deserve. The courage to change must be stronger than the fear of staying. And so you must ask yourself again, what is the cost of remaining? Can you continue to accept what does not bring satisfaction? Or will you decide for yourself and break away from what no longer serves? The choice is yours, and the time to act is now. There is no room for hesitation. Continuity depends solely on you. If you desire a new path, you must be willing to cut away what doesn't serve you anymore. The reality has already been presented. It is time to decide and move forward. You have already realized that often changes are triggered by a crisis. This crisis can be a clear sign that what you are living is no longer sustainable. When the pain becomes intense, the need for action becomes evident. What you do with this pain is what defines your next step. Resistance to change is not just a passive choice, it's a way of protecting yourself from the unknown. However, this protection is illusory. What you are really doing is imprisoning yourself in a cycle of dissatisfaction. The fear of losing the familiar can be so paralyzing that it prevents you from seeking what you really want. The other continues to act the same way, while you remain waiting. This expectation is fertile ground for frustrations. You allow yourself to believe that at some point, things will change. But the truth is, without action, nothing changes. This belief in a different future without real change is a trap. What you don't realize is that every time you accept what doesn't serve you, you reaffirm your position of subordination in this relationship. This dynamic becomes a vicious cycle where the other person sees no reason to change because you've already settled. The reality is that you are sustaining this structure by not demanding what you truly need. When you realize that you are merely surviving and not living, it's time to evaluate your priorities. You need to ask yourself, what really matters to me? What am I willing to tolerate? These questions don't have easy answers, but they are fundamental to beginning the necessary transformation. You might be afraid of the answer. The possibility of moving away from what is familiar can cause anxiety. However, every day that passes without a change is a day you move further away from your true essence. It's not just a matter of comfort, but of dignity. Your peace of mind must be a priority. You need to understand that the incessant search for validation and acceptance from others is a dead end. If you don't put yourself first, who will do it for you? This is your responsibility. Change doesn't have to be a radical act. It can start with small decisions. Evaluate your daily interactions. Which ones bring joy? Which ones drain your energy? You can start to gradually distance yourself from what doesn't bring value. Every step counts. As you start to distance yourself from what no longer serves you, you may realize how harmful those connections were. Recognizing this reality is a crucial step. You must allow yourself to feel this liberation, even if it initially brings a sense of loss. The fear of the unknown can be a significant barrier. However, you need to understand that the real danger lies in remaining in unsatisfactory situations. The courage to change must be greater than the fear of failing. And this courage starts with the decision to cut out what doesn't serve you. You don't need permission to pursue your happiness. This is a decision that only you can make. By doing so, you empower yourself, taking control of your life. This control is essential so that you can build a reality that reflects your desires and needs. Change is a conscious and continuous choice. You must be willing to revisit this decision whenever necessary. Do not allow yourself to fall into the trap of complacency. Each new day is a new opportunity to reaffirm your choice to prioritize what truly matters. It's understandable to feel vulnerable when making these decisions. However, This vulnerability is also a source of strength. It's a sign that you are allowing yourself to be true to yourself. This process of self-discovery can be challenging, but it is vital. Relationships that do not bring growth must be re-evaluated. What you accept determines what you experience. If you continue to accept behaviors that are not respectful, you are perpetuating a cycle of disrespect. This is a difficult truth to face, but necessary. The responsibility for your happiness cannot be delegated to anyone else. It is a task that requires commitment and action on your part. You must be willing to stand up for yourself and not accept less than you deserve. What you tolerate shapes your reality. Consider what you are willing to give up to achieve what you desire. This evaluation is an exercise in honesty with yourself. What do you really want? What are you willing to sacrifice? These answers will guide you towards a path of transformation. The choice to remain in an unsatisfactory situation is yours, but the consequence is also yours. You must remember that staying in a place of discomfort is a passive choice that does not bring growth. Inaction perpetuates the situation, and you should be aware of this. The decision to change can be one of the most difficult steps you will face, but it is also one of the most liberating. By cutting out what doesn't serve, you make room for new possibilities. What is to come may be much more aligned with what you truly desire. You no longer need to tolerate what is not beneficial. Change can be uncomfortable, but it is discomfort that is worth it. By prioritizing your emotional health, you prepare the ground for a healthier and more satisfying future. Reality has already been presented. You have the power to change your narrative. The moment to decide is now. If you want a new path, you must be willing to cut out what doesn't serve. You must understand that inaction has a cost. Every day that passes without a clear decision is a day lost. Time does not bring magical solutions. It simply keeps the situation as it is, perpetuating dissatisfaction. By remaining in a cycle that does not bring results, you distance yourself from what you truly desire. This distance between your reality and your aspirations is unsustainable. You need to face the fact that change is necessary. The justifications you use to stay are just a way to avoid reality. Every excuse you find not to act only strengthens the pattern that traps you. It is time to put those justifications aside and face the truth. You should not feel guilty for wanting something better. The pursuit of personal fulfillment is legitimate and necessary. Everyone deserves to seek what truly brings satisfaction and joy. Analyze your life with coldness. What areas are causing you stress? Which relationships drain your energy? You need to be honest with yourself and identify what really needs to be cut out. Recognizing that certain relationships are unhealthy is the first step toward change. You don't need to justify your decision to anyone. What matters is what works for you. If you constantly feel overwhelmed, it's a clear sign that something needs to change. Don't ignore it. Resistance to discomfort is natural, but it can't be an obstacle to your happiness. Every moment you hesitate to act is a moment when dissatisfaction accumulates. You must ask yourself, what am I really waiting for? What else needs to happen for me to take action? The truth is that change starts with you. You are the only person who can change your situation. Other people can influence you, but the final decision is always yours. If you desire a new scenario, you must be willing to do something different. There's no gain without effort. Change requires commitment and a willingness to face the unknown. You must remember that every small step counts. There's no need to make a revolution all at once. Start with small decisions that lead to greater well-being. The relationships you maintain should be beneficial. If you realize that someone isn't adding value to your life, it's time to reevaluate that connection. Interactions should be healthy and positive. Additionally, you must consider what you truly value in life. What are your goals and aspirations? What brings meaning to your life? These questions are fundamental for you to make decisions aligned with your values. It's essential to know that the fear of change is normal but should not paralyze you. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Every step you take towards the unknown is an affirmation of your strength. You must allow yourself to experience the freedom that comes with the decision to cut what no longer serves you. This freedom is a valuable asset that can open doors to new opportunities and healthier relationships. What you accept now shapes what you will live in the future. Therefore, you must be critical of what you are willing to tolerate. Self-assessment is a powerful tool for promoting significant changes. Remember that change is not a linear process. There will be ups and downs, but each experience will bring learning. Be prepared to face challenges, but also celebrate each victory, no matter how small. Resistance to change can be a sign that you are holding on to something that no longer serves you. By recognizing this, you position yourself in a place of power. You have control of your narrative and can rewrite your story. Now is the time to act. It is time to decide what kind of life you want to invest your time and energy in. The cost of staying in an unsatisfactory situation is high and must be evaluated seriously. Continuity depends only on you. Clear and firm decisions are necessary to shape a future that reflects your true aspirations. Do not be carried away by inertia. Change is possible and accessible to all who are willing to take the initial step. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and save what touched your heart today. And if it makes sense, share this story with someone who also needs to hear it.